Hello and welcome to Your Heart's Path. My name is Faye and we are already into April. I'm here today to bring through some psychic and intuitive messages about this month to help support you in creating these lovely pockets of awareness that will provide you with the opportunity to work with this energy in clarity, especially as it's been quite a strange time. We have a lot of astrological influences at the moment that have caused a fair bit of confusion. I'm going to say a little bit of tension, and this is an opportunity as we explore this energy of the month to really come into a space of focus and concentration where you can feel empowered in this moment as there is a lot of swishing about. We are certainly experiencing challenges, but there's an opportunity for a real lot of growth this month. So I'm going to take my time to explore this information with my beautiful team and channel through these psychic and intuitive messages to help you today. So it can be really helpful when we come into this space, especially as you're scrolling through YouTube and you end up in all these other places with all these different people and you can feel bombarded by information, just to make sure that one, this is not an escape. This is really about coming into a space where you allow for your own bodily intuition, your own inner knowing, your own feeling, your own sensing, your own seeing to come online as you explore this energy with me. Now, sometimes that means that aspects of this aren't going to resonate with you, and I invite you to just let those go. Let the bits that really animate you, excite you, bring about a sense of expansion in your system as a confirmation of truth to really settle into your own body and being and open doorways of opportunity so as that you can explore this information through your own perspective. We all have a different level of consciousness, and as we explore certain topics in consideration of our soul and our karmic lens too, our perception is everything. And my perspective is just one look into the whole of our information when it comes to our collective energy, and we're just going to bump up against some of these themes, and what that does is creates a bit of an inlet or a door that opens so as that you can inquire with your own intuition as to what guidance too can come through for you that is unique to the collective or just the way that you perceive this information. So I'll do my best to speak symbolically, use metaphors too. This is one way that clairvoyance speaks. This really allows for you to be able to get in the middle of the information, or at least see it from a distance, so as that your own perspective can really shine through. Now, there's been a pattern recognition that I've had with clients and people in my inbox over the last week or two where there's just this absolute feeling of overwhelm, almost this feeling of being at the peak of the wave and kind of feeling this sense of confusion. What have I done wrong? I don't know what to do. Almost this feeling of lack of clarity. What I've noticed when these experiences have come in is that the outer layer of the energy that these individual people have been experiencing, that we've all been exposed to, is that the reason we got to this space of confusion or inner conflict or, that self-esteem that has been lacking coming to the surface, where it's been uncomfortable to feel the experience or to accept how things have been unfolding, is that there's been this overlaying of patterns or beliefs or thought forms or different experiences that have kind of been like squeezed up to the surface, and a distraction of your own energy field. So this is something I want you to bring awareness to right away, whether you've been sort of semi-displaced. When we have this energy where our attention has the potential to be distracted in multiple different directions, at a point where we've been flooded with new information or light codes or, information that comes through to help with our awakening, sometimes we're at our fullest capacity just with existing. And then on top of that, we start to bring in all of these distractions from the internet, from YouTube, from Instagram, from, conversations and distractions outside of our space where perhaps it's not necessarily in alignment for you. So there's kind of a recollecting of your own attention and energy that's taking place right now that will allow for you to focus and come into a sense of absolute precision so as that you can redirect your energy with these new frequencies that have come through with accuracy. And so while yes, there is this cosmic astrological piece at play that we are influenced by, please make sure that you're not listening to this information or exposing yourself to information that you're then using as a sense of distraction to disconnect you from your own feeling body and this present moment. And so if you feel yourself really displaced, it's really important to regulate right now, to really kind of call yourself back into this moment and have a look at what those distractions are. The distractions that are surfacing and the patterns that I have seen are ruminating patterns of like a low self-esteem, a doubt in the divine plan, a feeling that we should be somewhere else that we're not. And what's actually happened is that the experience that's come about is the medicine that needs to be transformed in the first place. Meaning, I've had a lot of people say when they're running their own businesses that things have been really quiet. There's been stress about finances and money. There's been I need to change something right away. And this feeling that kind of comes through here with this sense of panic, instead of being approached through the lens where this is part of your creation, that comes through as an opportunity to just take a breath and rest and reset in these moments when we're experiencing such intensity, there's been this judgmental mind that's come through. There's been this ego that's afraid of, how am I going to get through? There's this sort of feeling like I've done something wrong. Why am I in this situation in which I'm in? I want you to see this energy or this friction, this dissociation, the distraction sort of behaviors and patterns as an opportunity where your energy has just been revealed to you, where this has kind of been happening unconsciously. So this can be micro little pieces too, and doesn't always need to be things that you would view as negative. Sometimes over spending or over giving or kind of being somebody's nurturing person in a moment where you need some space for yourself. It's like, where are you extending your energy in order to sort of try and make yourself feel better or different or more whole by trying to mimic and morph your external experience? So there's a kind of collecting of yourself and coming back in, but whilst paying keen attention to the weaknesses that are easily able to grasp your attention based on a very sort of short-lived experience of desire, of pleasure, of fleeting sort of satisfaction, and where that's highlighted to you this element of friction. And the most fascinating part of this to me is that if we don't escape this feeling to want to flee right now, you're actually almost elevated in this new information that has come through, where I can see all these different timelines kind of arriving, where the direction to your forward movement and momentum becomes really accurate, really easeful, really accessible. And this is where you see new jobs coming in, new partnerships coming through, where you see the deal going through, where you see you're able to kind of experience the action of all of the work that you've been doing up until this time come into like a very quick fleeting boom, as in into fruition, very fast manifestation. So this is really about finding your steadiness in the chaos or the eye of the storm. And even better, kind of trying to find this relationship with Source where you're in deep trust of, even if you cannot see right now and there is so much in the unknown, that you choose to have faith in the way that this is the way that the wave is taking you. And I think that there's something else here in regards to the way this kind of unfolds and this kind of scattering of energy and this new information around distractions and distortions, and perhaps where you've even been kind of playing small or wasting your energy, that the moment you can start to call this back in, all of a sudden you're going to start to feel this sense of vitality. And I actually feel like even in the chaos and, you know, the forward and back sort of momentum and the push and pull kind of feeling that we have here, if you can become very fluid in this experience and build this energy inside of your body, you're going to have the momentum you need to start taking action. And this is a month of action regardless of what's going on externally. And we want some movement forward now. And the reason that I say this is because there's been so much visitation to the past. There's been a lot of information coming in around the potentials of the future. And as a collective, we've animated certain timelines that we now need to start to integrate into our experience by living them, by taking the action, by applying the knowledge that this is the thing that distracts me. So I need to do the work in order to get to the root cause as to why it is that I'm abandoning myself and choosing these patterns of self-sabotage versus moving into a space where I can do the healing and move beyond this experience. Because part of this is too coming from boredom, and that space of boredom sometimes comes as a gift for innovation, and I think that it's worth exploring. And if you have the luxury of experiencing boredom in your life, can you see that that sort of energy of openness or opportunity that comes from boredom gives you the opportunity to contemplate, but you can also then procrastinate. It's something that comes up and goes, would you like to go and experience an adventure, or would you like to go and reapply those old patterns that you've already traveled through? So I kind of feel like this wave that comes through right now, you have this opportunity to break cycles, to focus your energy, and to start working with this forward momentum based on the information that you have received, with an acceptance that there are going to be periods where things slow down, get quiet, become really busy, ask a lot of you, and that if you can flow really fluidly in this experience and stay really present, that you're always going to have what it is that you need in order to really learn the lessons, but create the experience that your soul is here to live. So psychically and with your sensitive abilities at the moment, there's a lot of information and energy around clairvoyance. This was last month too. They're just kind of giving me a little reminder here. Pay attention to the way that you speak in pictures. And what I mean by this is I want you to start to see, we have so much awareness around the mind and the chitter chatter of this. And yes, with the retrograde energies and these sorts of things, this can become very heightened. But if you can find that stillness, you're then able to see the pictures and images that come through, or what is behind the words, that can reveal to you a deeper layer of your own inner being. And pictures and images, or clairvoyance, is sort of the language of the soul. So there's this opportunity to get quiet in the chaos and really listen, to really watch, to really observe how you are communicating visually. And I think for artists, this is a really fabulous time. You've got a lot of content to draw from. This is beautiful for the alchemist. It's beautiful for the magician. We have this energy of transformation. I see this element of fire too. If you're finding yourself really stagnant or stuck, or you don't know what to do, work with this intention of illumination and transformation. So using the element of fire by lighting candles at your workspace, the breath of fire, passion, the color red, the colors orange. We're going through this transformation, and visually there is beautiful insights that can come through behind the words that offer guidance and symbols and metaphors for you to work with sort of privately behind the scenes. I kind of feel like the more sound that we can turn down this month, the more productive we can be. Clairvoyance is deeply connected to the owl. I feel really guided to look at those animals that only come out at nighttime too. So depending on where you live in the world, pay attention to the creatures that come out at nighttime, to the creatures that live in the caves, to the things not so much underneath the ground. I am seeing the surface of the ground, because it is this space of kind of life in the dark, seeing in the dark, these themes around a different eye. I'm looking at the animals and how the animals that are awake at nighttime that can see in the dark, how the shapes of their eyes are even different, and how they process light is different. And it kind of feels to me like there's some animation and some information that can come through there as like a line of inspiration. So if you're into reading cards, would be a really awesome time to kind of look at the cards, or look at the messages, or look at the symbology that comes through, perhaps in your nighttime, or perhaps from the I'm going to say like the environment around you. And you can take the same approach that you do when you look at your tarot cards with the owl, or with your oracle cards, to take the same perception as you look out into your environment, and to go outside at nighttime, even if it's getting colder, perhaps you're in a space where it's getting warmer and you're moving into that spring, go outside and listen. Go outside and listen to what is moving, even when there is darkness all around. And there's beauty in that too. The senses are heightened when there is this feeling of less light coming through, but you have this fire inside of you that is able to illuminate what's right in front of you. And that's where the eyes kind of adjust, and we learn to sort of see in the dark. And I think that there's a lot of you at this point in time that might be having challenges, that also having these epiphanies of like, wow, look how far I've come. So this is a really awesome time too, to just stop and pause and celebrate. I think our tolerance is going down when it comes to people. I sort of feel like socially there's a little bit of a transformation going on. There's some changes in communication, and I'm going to say more like frequencies. So the sounds of voices are going to carry more weight. I want you to trust that. If enough is enough, or your ears feel bothered by the sounds in your environment, then there's a really there's like an invitation here. They're showing me like an envelope that opens, and it's almost like, is it time for a change? I think the ears and sounds and tones are something that are going to be hyper affected at this time. That can happen after a period of a lot of information too. So again, really emphasizing these moments of quiet and silence. If you're not in, practicing your regular meditation, you're going to know about it as well. And that's a period of time where too, I guess you make a decision to either continue to distract yourself or to carve out these little places where you can go within. I do sort of feel like these changes that are happening socially are also our tolerance. There's something around tolerance here, like I just can't tolerate that behavior anymore. I won't tolerate those conversations happening behind my back anymore. And there's kind of a pulling back of your own energy. I've heard a lot of these conversations around niceness and kindness, and I think that's something that we've been in contemplation around, perhaps where you've been overstretching out of niceness and it doesn't actually feel authentic to you. So really coming into that space of kindness, and kindness is a really easy practice, especially if you're beautiful, sensitive beings that have this wonderful connection to your heart. Sometimes we can overcomplicate things. So just setting the intention to be kind to yourself and to be kind to other people is actually enough to bring you into an alignment so as that you can take action steps from that beautiful heart-centered space. If you don't have intention around the direction of your future right now, it's something that I'm going to invite you to get clear on. Come and have a session with me, go and see somebody else that has some ability to bring some information or foresight from the future, even if you're just working at an essence level. Now, this is something I spoke about with somebody in the week who came for a session with me, where we might not have a vision for the future, but there can be a feeling of what it is that we want. So you can plant your feelings or these emotions or these experiences as an essence level into your future. And this is the sort of time where we start to see images arise, but they're only going to do so if we have enough stillness internally where we can recollect our energy, illuminate the present moment, and actually allow for these visions to come into fruition. For some of you, you're going to see that you're riding a wave that was created by your ego, that you're riding a wave that was created by fear. I don't want you to feel disarmed. I don't want you to, that's a strange word to use. I don't want you to feel that this was a waste of time. I want you to gather this data. I want you to realize that the source of the creation came from a space of where the source of the creation came from and why. And I think that's a really beautiful journal prompt. If you are in an experience where you kind of go, oh, fuck, I missed that. Or, oh, that pattern was, And I think that's a really beautiful point of contemplation here. This might happen in work. It might happen in relationships. It might happen in your health journey too. Sometimes we see this like a change of diet. And the intention was that I wanted to feel better. But the intention underneath all of that was, I'm so terrified that I don't know how to feel okay, that I'm going to try anything. And it sort of just feels like there's a shakiness there. So this kind of energy, when I'm looking at tolerance, kind of comes from the tolerance of our own manifestations too. We are looking at super sturdy structures, foundations, and grounding right now. As a collective, we've just spent huge amounts of time upgrading our collective base chakra, if you will. So we've had a lot of information and energy and transformation in regards to family, to group consciousness, to the group mind, a lot of attention, innovation, and energy around village, around what it means to be a part of a community. We've seen the shadow aspects of that, and we're in this space where we're innovating now to make change. Some of you are already hit the road running with some of this, and the pieces that are coming into fruition are going to be accelerated in this illumination to a space where you'll be reaping abundance for your participation in a really beautiful way. For those of you who responded in fear, created out of fear, created from a space of ego, where there's not enough structural stability because it lacks that heart energy, which is the part that keeps us sustainable and burning long term. They're crumbling down. Don't beat yourself up. Celebrate that it's come to an end, and then very intentfully you want to be creating from that essence level where you have connection to your heart. And so whilst we've been exploring this base chakra piece and these themes that exist in the base chakra, we're having a bit of an upgrade here. And what we'll start to see with that is that the energy shifts from this group space, from this family, from this village type space, is that there is this movement upward. Depending on where your levels of initiation are taking place right now is going to be dependent on which chakra this is showing up in. So this is where the message here today can sort of be more of an individual thing. And perhaps in this moment you take a breath to feel into which chakra it is that you are focusing your energy and attention on. For some of you that are more highly evolved, you're going to feel a lot of energy around the throat. The throat has a lot to do with manifestation and creation. It's also where psychically you have this opportunity to really start to advance your beautiful gifts. For others that have felt really stuck, that are kind of new to this experience, that are opening to your spiritual path, but you're feeling really curious, you're aware that you're, kind of participating in the creation of your reality. I'm sensing that you're still in this space where you might be moving into a place where you're working more one-on-one. So you're in that sacral energy where it's intimate between you and one other person, between you and your job, between you and your dog, between you and your lover, between you and your practice. It's you and one other energy. This will allow you to focus and really start to again stimulate that sense of creativity. For others, we've had these themes coming up where it's almost like the base chakra and the solar plexus have kind of like overlapped with each other, and in this collective group mind where we operate as one, or we think as one, or we are, the base chakra is different. It has structure and foundation that allows it holds space for our power to be able to grow upward. It almost feels like the inability for that energy to transform is where we're getting stuck at the solar plexus. So a lot of us have had these themes, or the individual theme where you've had some illumination into your own power. And I think power is something that we all want to contemplate periodically. It's something that can be quite personal. It's something that, if not tended to, like the beautiful flame with conscious attention and care, can get out of control really quickly if we don't know where to direct that energy. And so for some of you that are having that kind of psychic awakening right now, can feel an accumulation of energy moving through the body. And if we don't know where or how to work with this, is where we can sort of see the energy being displaced to distractions, to food, to pleasures, to desires. There's almost like a perverted energy that can be connected to this. And so I think that it becomes really important now to build this sense of self within the group mind, sense of individuality with an awareness of unity, a sense of uniqueness in sameness. It's almost like I've been seeing this too, this like, please just take up space in your own body and being, take up space in your own life, take up space in your own home. It's this feeling of like, as corny as it sounds, like shine your light. And this kindness here is the key. Kindness to yourself and kindness to others. That's an easy practice. As a sensitive being, you know how to do it because the heart is familiar, the heart is home. And when your heart is open, your energy will flow. You have this connection to the non-physical dimension that is calling you for the spiritual awakening. And when information can start to come in from that higher plane, the imagery of your future, the language of the soul is able to kind of come through in this space where you're feeling really supported, even if there isn't yet evidence in your physical plane. But it can happen so quickly, you just need to believe it on all levels of your being. There's a lot of pressure coming in from the heart. I'm going to say, like, I feel it's almost like energy of the past wanting to pull back. We have a very keen, you can with precision identify this right now when it comes to location of information that you are sensing. So have that perception about past and future with the intention of being in the present moment. The present moment is where all of your gems are going to come from at the moment. The present moment is where you have the opportunity to release yourself from the past. And this is memories that are too coming up in the body. So if you've had a big spout of physical unwellness, you can probably see this as more of a purge. And I think that too can come as a bit of a celebration. So there's a very tender, loving care that comes through after that, where you re-nourish your body. It's almost that feeling of forced stoppage, forced rest, forced care, and having that insight into how not just the chitter chatter, but the pictures and images that come into your awareness through that process, even if it's out the other side, that clarity comes. You can see where there's more room for love. You can see where there's more room for kindness here. But big emphasis on family, big emphasis on family structures. For some of you, you've been through a stage where you might have chosen to go against the family patterns, to do things differently. Perhaps relationships in your family have actually come to a completion as you know it, or potentially permanently for a lived period of time. I can see for some of you, it's a choosing not to have a family. For others, it's moving away from a family. There's almost this feeling of closure that's taking place that changes that word again. What was that on the outside of that field? It's not capacity. It's like there's like a tenderness here that comes from a place where, let me just get quiet and I'll find it because we spoke of it before. I can't, so that's okay. I'll just let it go. If there is a transformation and a change within family networks, and there is sort of a slipping away or a grief that takes place or a letting go that comes through with this beautiful confirmation, you're going to have a lot of space. And space can open up in that place where it can open up for that opportunity for intention to go in, especially when it comes to your own family networks. Redirecting that energy that you might have been spilling out to different relationships or connections, or almost these patterns that lie unconscious within us, where it's a lot of your shoulds, even just the time in which you spend with these people. If you're choosing not to, so say there's a withdrawal of energy here where you're kind of coming into yourself, work on redirecting your energy up your spine, making contact with your heart, making contact with that space where you can move into an intentional place of creation in the throat there. So perhaps that's connected to those of you that are having this sort of throaty experience or this awakening through the throat chakra, which comes as an invitation to work on your psychic abilities, to work on your spiritual path, to manifest a different way of existing. A lot of conversations around poverty, a lot of conversations around lack, a lot of conversation around not enoughness, not just internally, but symbolically in the physical reality as well. And all of this calls us back to this place where we have to be doing the work inside. And what we're noticing more and more is where we have that realization, oh shit, I was trying to change my reality by morphing these things from outside of my being. Instead of getting cross or wasting my time on doing that over and over again, this is just my invitation, my notification to come back inside. Addiction can be really high right now if you've had patterns of addiction. So these things that outside of, I've seen a lot of like pornography playing through the collective. And I spoke to another seer who had seen the same thing. So patterns that have been happening behind the scenes, almost like at nighttime, right? In that dark scene. If there's stuff that's been going on behind closed doors, energy doesn't lie. And what I mean by that is if you've wanted an intimate relationship, but you're addicted to masturbating or addicted to pornography, and you're keeping your energy in this space down here and you're kind of projecting it here, there and everywhere, but you want union, it's time to stop the behaviors that are pointing your energy in a direction that you are not wishing for. So there's almost this part of like self-responsibility, and a lot of these more kind of like shady patterns that happen behind closed doors are the ones that get addressed last, but they're also the most important. Overeating is another thing. So these kind of like going to things outside for that quick burst of pleasure is really on the surface now, and it becomes very intolerable. That was that word. So the intolerable nature of family connections, or connections that you feel like you have to, should, didn't even consider that you could let go of those pieces from your life, as well as the physical pieces or the fantasy pieces that come into your life with those like small doses of pleasure, almost become painful and cause this sort of element of friction, which can turn into irritation, anger, frustration very quickly. You can be super aware of where you're leaking your energy. With this too, friendships can drop away. You might see that you weren't in your integrity through different connections that you had. Perhaps you can see where, I don't even know how to explain this in other ways metaphorically. I kind of just feel like I'm bored of it. Like that's what my energy is doing. I'm like, I am bored of this. I'm bored of these patterns. It's time for us to evolve. There are certain things that will drop away naturally as you start to redirect your energy up your column. We want to stay really nice and grounded in this new kind of soil that has been planted as a collective, as a village, as a group mind. And the structure and the foundational aspects of that are really being emphasized. So people in trades work and stuff are going to be super busy right now. If you're looking at like concreting and you're looking at all of those kind of structures that go like down on top of the ground. So the soil's kind of done. Like landscapers, people that kind of put down these structures for other things to grow, expect yourselves to be super, super busy. I think that that's a really lovely thing at times when we start to see things and being built, new things being built in our physical environment. I think embrace that. There can be room for a lot of celebration. If these are spaces, especially that are being created like new businesses or other projects where community get to come to, you can have a huge big boom and almost like there's a celebration from the heavens in some sense in that way, especially if the intention is really pure here. Okay. But the challenges, and this is where cool, I've got some more clarity about the flow of this energy, because we kind of jumped from the base up to the throat. Perhaps you were having some things around the solar plexus. So the challenges are moving more from a solar plexus energy around your own power and your own inner confidence and self-esteem, where we're stuck in that I space all the time, to a space where you're looking more at your intimate relationships or you and one other person. So it feels a little bit more relational energy. There's a lot of information that you can learn about. There's a lot of joy in that space too. It feels easier to place your energy like really comfortably. It almost brings about a sense of balance, whilst this collective group mind in the base chakra starts to kind of grow its beautiful seeds, and we start to see the changes happening in that space. All of this energy that comes into those lower chakras starts to put a little pressure, a little bit more vitality into the heart space. So again, even though things can feel challenging, they're great opportunities for joy, for I almost feel this like permission in expression. I think people that might previously have made you feel really uncomfortable and like out of place and like, oh, that's so cringe, can be people that really like open you right now. Look at that too, where the judgment of you and somebody else's expression makes you close. We are looking at openness. And this burst out of these lower chakras into a higher plane where we're kind of moving up into that heart energy. But if you are sensitive, it's really normal at this time too to be having like big waves of tiredness, exhaustion. If you are experiencing these micro moments of quietness and you're running your own business, or things just feel still, or you're in between projects and there's like spaces that open up for nothing, just be mindful that you don't just feel that for the sake of feeling it, not with your own thoughts, not with actions and jobs. See if you can melt into that space that opens up, and have a look at what's there. And when we're having a look at what's there, we get really quiet. We're listening in the silence. And instead of attuning to listen to noise like conversations and words, I want to see if you can listen to the pictures and the images that surface in that place. And I think that's where you're going to have a really, really beautiful insights at this time. Some of you are going to be called to have a really big detox right now with the intention of lightness. So for some of you, it might actually be a weight loss, a dropping of physical kilos, weight on the body. For others, it might be a dropping of toxins. For others, it might be a dropping of friends. There's a washing away. And symbolically, that's an autumn thing where I am here, but I kind of sense that I feel that as a collective on the whole. So even if you are coming into a space of spring, there's kind of like a lightness that's taking place. Perhaps it's more of a physical thing for you. So you're going through cupboards and drawers and throwing out stuff that makes you feel heavy, because there is a lightening that's taking place. So if weight, and I do think there's this emphasis around food and overeating and leaning into those comforts that are so easeful to just kind of like push things down, almost have this really beautiful opportunity right now to start to do things on a healthier level. And that intention, again, to come from love. So there could be like big changes around diets and just information that comes in that space too. So if you are in that industry of nutrition, with health, with things like yoga, movement, if you're running a gym, these kind of things, I can sort of feel like there might be a big boost in new members, people willing to try new things. So an awesome time to put out like an offering for a 30-day Bikram yoga membership, or, for X amount of dollars, just to kind of encourage people to get in the door. I think it's too important that when we feel this information too, that you're mindful you're not giving things too much away right now. That can be that overexertion thing. So there's generosity, and then there's giving from a space of expecting something in return, in some way, like a Buddhist would say. I almost feel like an over-giving. So you end up feeling drained afterwards. When you're giving, I want it to feel like it fills your own cup back up too. And we do kind of start to feel that beautiful sense of freedom this month. This freedom with the space inside of the chaos. It can actually be a really beautiful thing when we find our own center in the turbulent times in which we've been in. And it doesn't really look like this is slowing down. That's my feeling here. There is a building that's happening, and so much emphasis, like all the colors that I can see when I'm looking are this like red and orange and yellow, and there's just this want to get into the heart. There's this want for deeper intimacy. There's this want for unity. There's this want for connection to source. And it's wonderful. Like, that's a point of celebration. So as a collective, we're wanting to shift, and we're intending to be embodying higher expressions of love. So it's about opening, it's about softening, it's about letting go of tension, it's about removing the conditioned minds, so that we have space to be able to, create a world that is joyful, beautiful, harmonious, that acts as a beautiful template to support your soul's awakening. In saying that, I want some of you to move into a space of acceptance of the discomfort in which you might find yourselves in. Accept it. See if you can come into the space where you're like, you know what, this sucks sometimes, and I'm not really sure if I'm looking at this as fair. I don't think we need to look at it through that lens. I want to see if you can kind of lean in and and really approach it like this is happening for a reason, and it's either not shifted or come to completion because there's something here that I need to learn, or it hasn't manifested yet for me because it's not the right timing. Is there something here that I need to see? Like, why is this? And I sense this a lot around either sickness, illness, and disease, or romantic relationships, where you're still in a space of being single, but you want that person in your life. I want you to see if you can accept this energy. Same with if you're going through sickness, illness, and disease, and see if there is something beautiful and gentle that can arise in this place as medicine for you right now. Because medicine is not always something that comes in physically. Medicine is something that can come from the soul, like a picture, an image, a symbol, a frequency that comes through often, that first of all shifts our perception, that changes the way that we think, that'll change the way that we feel, which then changes the way that we are vibrating and attracting experiences as opportunity, to be lived here on planet Earth. And there's a lot of like opposite ends of the spectrum here, because there are some of you that are really struggling sort of in this space of stuckness with slowness, and work is really quiet and not enoughness coming in. And then you've got these people on the other end of the spectrum that are going to have the biggest financial months that they've ever had, that are in this full place of surrender, that are just like, holy shit, look at all this work that I've done that's coming into a space of fruition, because regardless of what's going on around me, I still have connection to my heart. And that means that I've won. That's the kind of attitude that I'm sensing here. So for some of you, this is going to be a huge big timeline leap, and being in your steadiness, coming into your centeredness, being able to remain present, to let this energy that's coming in really build through your body. I'm going to say by the end of April, get ready to leap. Get ready to have a brand new experience. Get ready to jump into that new job. Get ready to jump into that new relationship. Get ready to jump into that new project. It's like manifestation can feel like it's just off its head. Like the speed in which things can come into fruition gives you that freedom that you've been looking for. I think we're almost coming to a close here. I haven't written anything down, which is really interesting to me. Music without words if you're feeling overwhelmed. Any other little threads around that? Different forms of communication. Artists, I want to like circle around you. This is such a beautiful time to be painting. This is such a beautiful time to be making pictures, that sort of thing that we spoke about before. For some of you, it's not just for joy, or it's not your career. So imagery, beautiful images, spending time in your garden and creating lovely spaces to look at. Like beauty is something that I think we have more appreciation for at this time. It's like it is something that can stop and bring you into the present moment, where you're in this space of openness. If you don't have the tools to clear your energy psychically at this time because of these upgrades that we're having, you're going to know about it. Come see me. Find somebody else that can give you a key. We are going to need to know how to do this now, because what happens when we expand, what happens when we start to bring light and awareness into our sensing body or into these new spaces, is that there are formulas to how these systems operate. And just like, and I've said this before, you open a new door in your home and you go in, dust and things accumulate, and you need the right tools to be able to clear up the space so as that light can come in, so as that you can set up shop, so as that you can decorate, so as it can be a part of your life. The reason we close these things down is because stuff arrives and we don't know what to do with it. The dust settles and it becomes so dusty, and if we don't have the rag to be able to clean things up, it gets so itchy, our eyes close and we can't perceive the space anymore. It's easier just to shut the door and run away. So you're going to start to feel this, and that's a question worth asking yourself. In another pattern that I've seen, I think it is more personal to me, because I'm setting up the House of Mystics, which is the homeschool for the intuitively sensitive, to help psychics and sensitive and intuitive beings work with this energy consciously. And a huge part of that is working through these layers of initiation, like what we're experiencing as a collective right now, where we have a raise in our consciousness, where we enter into this new way of perceiving, where we're more sensitive than we were before. But we need to be able to work with the negative energy that comes up in that space. We need to be able to transfer fears. We need to be able to perceive accurately what it is that we're seeing, sensing, feeling, and perceiving, so as that we can clear up the space, because often that's necessary, and we can bring the light in. When we filled up that space there and we have an awareness and a relationship with that layer, we have this opportunity to continue to grow. So you can feel like you're being pushed into this space right now where you might be being called to gather some new tools. If you're not interested in developing your psychic abilities, if that's not something that calls you, but you enjoy this transmission, the best thing you can possibly do is bring your physical health and well-being into the best place that you ever have been, and working with the psychological blocks, beliefs, thoughts, emotions that prevent you from thriving in your body. It can be a change of the way that you've been doing things, so less aggressive, more soft, to just like walking every day, versus not doing anything at all because it's all too tricky, to hydration and this sort of thing, and bringing in a meditation practice. I don't believe that there is anyone on this planet Earth that will not benefit from a regular meditation practice. And even just this intention of connecting to your intuition. You might not need guides like me or information from people like me to help direct you to your intuition. Everybody has an intuition. It's a skill set. It requires that we have enough spaciousness in our mind in order to be able to be with the silence and the stillness, that we can distance ourselves from these lower bodies of ours, and take up space in them to be in relationship with them, but so as that they're not kind of controlling us. So it means being able to feel and process your emotions and things too, which, is going to incorporate healing, but it all just allows for us to be in a space where we can connect with our hearts. When you're connected with your heart, you're connected to your intuition. And we need to be able to get quiet enough that we can hear that inner voice, that inner guidance. And that's what takes you down your own path. That's what highlights your uniqueness in, this sea of, billions of people that live on this earth here. And I'm going to finish up here. And I love this perception that has really acted as just such beautiful medicine to really help me personally connect with union. And union being like, I am you and you are me and we are one, is this like reminder that when I'm sitting and I'm having a coffee with someone, or when I'm in session with someone, or when I pass someone when I'm walking my dog on the beach, that they are one person in this 8 billion people that has passed by my experience, and that it's beautiful and it's perfect and it can be memorable and delicious, and we can lean in and we can open, and we need to stop distracting ourselves from what's going on outside of this space, because this is where the life part is happening. It's where our intuition speaks. It's where our psychic senses will give us the information that we need. And all of that we gather to consciously create a reality that's in alignment with your soul. Soul speaks in pictures, soul speaks in essence. It will call you through inspiration of feelings of openness and expansion, of clarity, and it does have a direction. So your direction is important right now. If you've been pointing into the past, perhaps it's time to point in the future. If you've been in the present, if you've been pointing in the future, perhaps we need to reflect on the past. There's kind of this like, where are you animating? Where are you directing your energy? Is it this vertical position here where you're just in alignment with the present moment and your higher self? Or are you looking for a space to land? I think that they're all just little awareness pockets and things. But I'm going to stop there. I love this. I'm going to share this image with you. I think the bee can come in this month with beautiful messages for you. The bee does have a lot to do with community. It's also a really beautiful feminine energy, but it says if we can get to work and we can take action, that we really do get to bear the fruit or the sweetness or the beauty of our action. And so I want you moving forward. If you feel stuck, if you feel like all of this sounds great, Faye, I've got no idea where to start, please come and find me. I do have space for one-on-one readings. The waitlist is open for the House of Mystics, which is the homeschool for the intuitively sensitive, where I teach you to work with your psychic abilities. I have a start date of October the 4th, but enrollments will be coming out very soon. There's mentoring spots and things there available, and there are so many beautiful people in this industry. that are, you know, have been working very quietly behind the scenes for a long time, that are offering their services. If you're feeling like new to this path and it's all very strange, we've all been there, and you know, it's important that you know, sometimes that's somebody that's in a direction that is further along than you that can shine their light back into your path and help you sort of stabilize and find your own center right now, because we don't want to be using the astrological alignments as excuses not to move forward, not to grow, not to evolve. I want you to feel that that's an awareness that these experiences are happening, and that you've always got power, you know, to be in heart, to open, to be in this lovely space of movement, and, you know, to continue in your momentum with obviously spaces to rest and reflect, and that's all a part of it. That's enough for me. I will see you in May. That's all for today. Thanks for being here. Okay.